mysterious death. An inquest was held on Tuesday afternoon on the body of Sarah Smalley, age 36, who was found dead under the following circumstances. Deceased, on Saturday evening last, was at the Bag of Nails drinking with her husband and a young man named Innes, an engineer. She left shortly after on an errand for her husband, Innes leaving shortly after. About 9 o'clock she was found in Waterworks Lane, near the wooden bridge, sitting on the ground in a dying state. She never spoke and expired before medical aid could be procured. A wedding ring, which the husband swore was on her finger an hour previously, was not to be found, and force must have been used in removing it from her hand. Innes was subjected to a severe cross-examination by the jury, he being the person who found the body, but nothing could be elicited throwing any light on the mysterious affair. The mark of the ring was on the finger of the deceased, but no marks of violence on any part of the body. Verdict: died by the visitation of God. Visitation of God was a type of cause of death used in more religious times to explain death by natural causes, like a heart attack or stroke. However, seeing it used in context is a bit eerie, to say the least, especially given the circumstance in which Ms. Smalley died. It seems that foul play was a possibility, and even if that was ruled out, a conclusion to Ms. Smalley's end is, at the very least, rushed. We'll never know for certain, but even the article itself left Ms. Smalley's demise as a mysterious death. Cincinnati murder mystery. At 8 a.m., Thomas Joy, known as Tony Joy, and well known in sporting circles, died at the hospital. He was murdered. Someone shot him during the night, but Joy never regained consciousness, and the police are unable to get any clue to the murderer or the cause of the murder. The bluntness makes this short article linger, and some of the archaic terminology makes this case interesting. In particular, the last few words, the cause of the murder, seems to stick out. We know Tony Joy was shot, so the cause of his murder would be a gunshot. However, back in 1896, the cause of the murder is essentially the motive. Nowadays, it's just a strange way to phrase it, because it kind of comes across like the victim did something to themselves to deserve to die. A follow-up would be published in which a charge of murder had been placed against William Furl and Pat Muldoon, who had originally reported that they discovered the body. Witnesses would say that Joy and Muldoon were heard quarreling in the saloon that the latter owned, and shots were fired shortly thereafter. It sounds like a stereotypical fight at a saloon in the Old West. But it's hard to say if Furl and Muldoon were ever found guilty of Joy's murder, and if so, what their sentence was. Here are two interesting articles published back to back. Penfield Swamp Murder. The town of Penfield, after the lapse of many years, was again thrown into much excitement on the morning of February 14, 1899. Jacob Van Hosen was found murdered in his house near Penfield Center, along the edge of what is known as Penfield Swamp. A number of arrests were made on suspicion, but nothing tangible could be learned, and the murder of the old miser of the swamp is still a mystery. Oklahoma Station Mystery. On the 28th of July the same year, the body of a young woman was found in the bay. It had been in the water for some time, and the theory of suicide was held by many. Investigation was made, and it was quite conclusively shown that the girl was placed in the water by means other than her own personal violence. She was buried in Potter's Field at Mount Hope, and the mystery of Oklahoma Station still surrounds that out-of-the-way, rush-flanked place. While killers evading justice and unidentified bodies never being claimed are something that sadly happens every day, seeing examples that are over 120 years old is a tragic and chilling reminder that many of these will never be solved. And this seems to be the case with these two examples. After his first beheading of a South Pacific native, a Japanese lieutenant wrote in his diary, "I need more training." The diary is in the files of Allied headquarters. The author was listed only as First Lieutenant Oda. Headquarters opened the 3.5-year-old book for public scrutiny today. Oda's diary said, April 8, 1942, "To kill a man is man's worst crime. However, if the man is left alive, he will commit further crimes at his will. Therefore, there is no alternative to beheading him." The diary and other records, headquarters said, showed Oda beheaded at least 6 others. The nature of their offenses was not disclosed. In his diary jottings, Oda cautioned himself before the beheading, "I must be calm. If I am nervous, I might fail in front of the spectators." After it was over, Oda wrote, "I raised my sword and exclaimed as I swung. The head fell forward and the body sagged to the ground. Blood was pulsing from the head in a jet. The severed part of the neck was moving for a while. There were bloodstains on the blade. I washed my sword and returned to my unit. I kept saying, 'Be calm, to myself. I knew I was flustered when I swung my sword, and I cannot recall my movements. I remember swinging the sword, but only came to myself on seeing the head hit the ground. I had been told that the correct thing was to leave a shred of skin on the neck when beheading. I have failed. I need more training." The article itself does a good job conveying how disturbing Oda's account of his actions are, and what war can do to someone's mind. However, despite how fascinating this unnerving story is, this seems to be where the details end. No first name is given to First Lieutenant Oda, no information on what became of him, and so we're left with a short tale about war and its lack of closure. There's an awful lot of murder in Brazil. The impact of Brazilian authoritarian rule is nowhere more forcibly present than in a recent document from Amnesty International, released on the recent 10th anniversary of the coup d'etat, which brought the present regime to power. Amnesty International is an independent organization which has consultative status with the United Nations, the Council of Europe, the Organization of American States, and the Organization of African Unity. It endeavors to ensure the right for everyone to hold and express his beliefs. Amnesty International works, irrespective of political considerations, for the release of men, women, and minors who are imprisoned because of their beliefs, or their ethnic origin, color, or language, provided they have neither used or advocated violence. The list below, compiled by Amnesty International, by no means complete, is of people that have reportedly died in mysterious circumstances. The credibility of the official reasons given in explanation of the prisoners' deaths is severely tarnished by their repetitious nature. It is widely believed that those who died while trying to escape, or when run down by a motor vehicle, actually died under torture or were arbitrarily executed. The increasing frequency of deaths while in police custody since 1972 and the number of persons simply reported as shot while resisting arrest have led observers to believe that opponents of the regime are now routinely being eliminated when security forces are convinced that the prisoner has told all he knows. The article goes on to list dozens of people who died under mysterious circumstances.